All right, we are here with Phillip Smith, Fort Payne City Council candidate. And your first question is, what are the top 5 most important issues for the City of Fort Payne, and how do you plan to achieve those and or pay for them?
Let's see, the top 5. I guess first and foremost, we need to make sure that the city's financial health is good, not only today, but in the future. The pandemic is certainly going to affect us in some way. I'm not sure how, but we need to take that into account. So I guess finances would be first. Second, we need a plan as to where we want to go. I've thought a lot about tourism versus industry, and you know, if you focus on one, you certainly don't forget the other. But we need a plan. Good things happen sometimes, but good things happen a lot more often when you plan. Number 3, after we've got our plan in place, I think we need to make sure that we have the right people in place in all our departments. If I get elected, I'll be brand new to this and brand new to most of the department heads. I plan on meeting with them sometime in the next 2 weeks. But if you got a good plan, you need good people to make that plan go forward. 4, I guess projects that I've heard about and talked about, certainly recruiting industry. I've heard from people who call my phone number that I advertised in the paper and said that we could partner with other cities to recruit industry, where if we don't have the resources here, that there may be other cities around us that do, and that certainly the employment there would help folks in Fort Payne. I mean, is that 4? Mm-hmm. The 5th one, I guess, would be, I've heard a lot of talk about the sports complex, and do we need it, and why isn't it already done? And I think that needs to be one of the main focuses of the next council. We need to make up our minds to go forward or not. And I guess that'd be my top 5.
Okay. All right, the second question is, setting and maintaining a city budget can be difficult. How do you plan on raising revenue and cutting expenses?
I've been doing budgets for probably the last, let's say I'm 60, the last 35 or 40 years. So there's nothing new to me. I would do 10 to 12 a year. I would update them every quarter. Raising revenues for the city is sales tax revenue. I think that comes down to 2 things: more people working, spending more money in town, or more people coming from out of town to Fort Payne or the surrounding area and spending money here. So that's where we need to focus: employment or tourism, which brings people to Fort Payne. It's kind of a clean dollar. I don't know what the metrics are, but for so many people to come into town, they spend X amount of dollars at restaurants and grocery stores and gas stations and motels and hotels. So that's how I would raise revenue. As far as cutting expenses, you start with the top down. You just list the most important things you have to have at the top. You set your priorities, and those things at the bottom, the lowest priorities, they get cut if you have to make cuts. So that's how I go about cutting expenses.
Okay. And the last question, what do you think is the role of a city councilman?
You know, I've got a lot of advice about that since I made my announcement in the newspaper. I think the first thing the city councilman needs to do is listen, or city council person needs to do is listen. The second thing they need to do is to get facts from both sides of an issue. And the third thing they need to do is make a decision and stick to the decision. I think if you could listen, gather facts from both sides, because there's always going to be, believe me, I've learned that, opposing sides. Get facts from both sides, and then you just got to sit down and make a decision. And you're going to get a lot of counsel, and believe me, I've got a lot of counsel about what to do about this and what to do about that. But in the end, it comes down to me. If I'm elected, I've got to make the decision. But if I've listened, I've got facts from both sides, then I'll be in a pretty good position to make a decision. And I don't have any trouble making a decision.
All right. And last, just tell the voters a little bit about yourself and why they should vote for you.
I wasn't born here, but I moved here when my father came to run the newspaper that Tricia runs now in 62 or 63. Grew up in the schools here, raised my family here. I have 2 daughters, Augusta, who's in Nashville, and Blair, who has recently moved to Alpharetta, Georgia. So they've been in part of the school system. They played soccer. I've been to all the soccer games. As to why you should vote for me, number one, I'm very good at setting priorities. And if your priorities are set, your decisions are easy. And so I think I can set the right priorities for the city. And once those priorities are set, I won't have any trouble making any decisions. That'd be the top 2 reasons.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.